Okay. The talk tonight is a wonderful talk, as always. This one is informed by our internal challenge this week. It's funny, I woke up in the middle of the night last night and I was like, I know what I'm talking about tomorrow. And I had this, have you ever had this? You wake up and you have these ideas, and it's the best idea that anybody has ever had. You're like, I need to write this down because this is going to make millions of dollars someday. You wake up the next day and you're like, why did I think this is so good? I saw this on TV yesterday. So I had this idea last night and I'm like, this is going to be great. And then I thought about it for 5 more seconds and I'm like, it's pretty obvious. I'm pretty sure I'll remember it tomorrow. So I didn't write it down. And I woke up and I remembered like 90% of it. But I also remembered that part of my idea didn't apply because I was conflating this challenge with a different week's challenge that didn't exist. So visualization. This week's internal challenge is all about visualization. I'll get to the specifics of it later on. But I think visualization is incredibly powerful, super useful. We use it all the time in our practice. There was a time, well, I'll talk about that too later on. I'm going to have these 3 basic ways that we're going to discuss the usefulness of visualization. So the first one, I want to talk about health. And when I say visualization, you may have heard of this idea before. There's a pretty well-known book and movie called The Secret, which is somewhat, some great stuff and a little bit of hooey, but the concept of visualizing something and then having it actually affect what happens in reality. This is the purpose of visualization. The ways that I'm talking about it. There are other reasons that you might visualize, like in a meditation technique. So some people, they like to visualize a shape or a color or something just purely for the sake of focusing the mind in meditation. And that's wonderful. It certainly has a place. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the idea of visualizing something and having it affect your body or your life. So, for health, you've all heard of the placebo effect, and the placebo effect is actually real in the way that it can reduce pain, but it can also cause your body to heal itself or help your body to heal itself. So they do these studies and they have to do all of this work to make sure that a medication isn't just effective because of the placebo effect. So they do these double-blind studies and they compare, the control group to the group that's receiving the medication, a group they give a fake pill to that does nothing. But there have been numerous studies, and I read one great article in Time magazine that one of our students sent me a couple years ago. And they did this study where first of all, they talked about the general idea of the placebo effect. And basically, if you're going in to get some kind of medical care, the actual, medication or the surgery or whatever has an effect. But a big part of the effect is your belief that you are healing. And they found that Western medicine, especially this idea of going into a hospital and having a surgery, has the strongest placebo effect out of all of medicine. So you could have this idea of, I'm going to heal myself through, going and seeing a more traditional healer. I'm going to see a shaman. They're going to, give me an herb or something like this. And I believe that it heals me, and it does. And that has a strong effect. But there is no stronger effect, according to this study, than actually going into a hospital. You go into a gown, they take you into the surgery room, they knock you out, they make an incision on your knee, and then both of these groups had all of that done to them. They both left with stitches on that incision. In one of the groups, they went in and they actually tinkered with the knee, and I don't remember exactly what the surgery was. It was maybe to remove a little bit of scar tissue or something that was causing pain. And then the other group, they just made the incision and then stitched it up. And they told both groups, you had the surgery done, you should feel better in X number of days, whatever. And the group that had no actual surgery done experienced like the same benefits as the other group. And you can imagine why, when you believe so strongly that you've had the surgery done, of course you're going to believe that you're going to get better. And the mind's ability to help your body heal is real. It's been studied, and this is a part of many traditions is basically through some kind of ritual or some kind of experience that you have, you believe that you are being healed. And a lot of people think like that's all nonsense, it doesn't work. It absolutely works, even if on no other level, just your mind believing that you are healing. There is simply just being positive about it, which the importance of that cannot be overstated. If you believe that you're getting better, that's much better than believing that you are just dying. If you give up, you're basically done. You're not going to heal, you're not going to feel better. But there are aspects of our practice, like in Tai Chi, that are very much tied up in this idea as well. So in Tai Chi, they have this idea of energy flow. And it's said that if you're doing like a Qigong, which is a great opportunity to use a visualization, I visualize energy flowing to like an injury that I have, right? Let's say that I injured my wrist, and I imagine a certain color of light traveling, and this is like healing light, and I imagine that light just being there, or like I imagine warmth, or I like to do this with water. I imagine water pooling in my center and then flowing like through a hose to this, and that's like the healing energy of the body. When you do these things, it has been shown to have a real effect, and it's not just been shown by modern science through studies. It's been done for hundreds and thousands of years. The focused visualization can really direct your body's ability to heal itself. There's a great story in Zen in the martial arts. The author shattered his hand or his wrist doing a break, and then he visualized these little workers showing up to this work site on his wrist every day before he went to sleep. And he'd imagine them going to work, and they'd wake up in the morning, and he'd imagine they blow the whistle too, and then the workers like leave the work site. And the doctors were astounded at how quickly he was able to heal. It took like, half as long as it was supposed to take. So there's lots of anecdotal evidence like that, but actual studies have shown that the mind's ability to heal the body is absolutely key. So when we visualize, and there are many different ways to do this, but if there is a component of visualization that helps your mind to really focus your body's healing ability, if you combine that with the breath, that's even better. So when we do Tai Chi, you have this inhale and exhale that you're focusing on. When you just direct that along with a visualization, it's even more potent. And I could go on for a long time about that. But the idea of using visualization for health is huge. The next I want to talk about, and by the way, I don't want to oversell that and claim that you get cancer, you shouldn't go to the doctor, just visualize it away. Surely there are people who believe that. I like both. I'm gonna go to the doctor and do all that, get all that placebo hype effect from the radiation and whatever, and then also do visualizations and also eat healthy and just take care of myself in all ways. Okay, so that's for life. Let's talk about for performance. So we do in class, I talked about this today in the Kung Fu class, this idea of visualizing your partner in front of you. When we do this, in forms. So Zelda and a couple of other students are learning the form right now. It is super useful so that you can make your body do the correct thing, right? So if I'm doing a technique and I have no idea where my targets are and I'm just throwing these punches and kicks all over the place, it's not going to work. Versus I have an actual person that I visualize and I know exactly what the targets are. That makes the technique more directed and powerful. It makes the transition, and this is a very important part of visualizing for physical performance, it makes the transition from doing it in a drill to doing it in real life. It makes that transition much more smooth and minimal. As you can imagine, if you're just throwing punches in the air and you've never hit a thing and you've never visualized yourself hitting a thing, and then there's somebody in front of you, it's a big change versus I've actually seen in my mind hundreds or thousands of times, I've seen this very thing play out. I've visualized it and I've hit these targets, and now it's very easy to transfer that to a real human being because I've seen it so many times. So there was a period of several years where I would go, this was before I actually worked at the dojo in Michigan. I would travel about an hour from school to, when I was in college, I would travel back to the dojo and I would just stay there all night. I would do that 2 or 3 days a week. And I would come and help in the kids' class. And then I would do Tai Chi. And then during the beginner Kung Fu class, I would go outside and I would practice my forms for an hour. And as I did that, I would spend a lot of that time visualizing my partners. And that made my forms really good, but also it gave me this really focused ability to just have my mind be exactly where I wanted it to be. So using a visualization as a direction for your consciousness is great. It's why it works in sitting meditation, it works in a moving meditation. And the more detailed and involved your visualization is, the stronger it's going to be. So this is really key. When you visualize somebody when you're doing your form, you don't just imagine like a disembodied arm flying out of nowhere at you, because that's not going to be as useful as seeing their whole body, and not just seeing their arm, but seeing how their body rotates when they throw that punch at you. So this is great. Backed by science, numerous studies. This little thing that I have printed out here is one. I've mentioned this study several times before, and I never actually named what the study was, I don't think. So it was conducted by Dr. Blaslato, I think I'm saying that right, at the University of Chicago in 1996. So the study was conducted by asking a group of students who had been randomly selected to take a series of free throws. So in basketball, that free shot that you take when you're fouled, the percentage of made free throws were tallied. So they just took these students and they had them shoot the basket, and they tallied how many they made. The students were then divided into 3 groups and asked to perform 3 separate tasks over a 30-day period. So the first group was told, you don't touch a basketball for 30 days. You're not practicing or playing basketball whatsoever. You're just there, just living your life, no basketball. The second group was told, you're going to practice shooting free throws for a half an hour every day for 30 days. It's a lot of time spent practicing shooting free throws. So of course, you're going to see some improvement with that. The third group was told, you're going to come to the gym every day, but you're just going to visualize yourself for 30 minutes every day with your eyes closed. Just imagine hitting every single free throw. Now, that's an important distinction. You're not just imagining yourself shooting and not seeing it go in. You have to see yourself actually sink the shot. That's important, because otherwise it's not going to actually improve you, okay? So you would probably guess, as I did when I was first reading about this, oh, maybe the visualization group will make a little bit of improvement, because I believe visualization is super important. So the first group of students who did not practice showed no improvement, as would be expected. The second group, who practiced every single day for half an hour, they had a 24% improvement in their ability to shoot free throws. Huge, almost a quarter. The third group, who only visualized, they had a 23% improvement, almost identical. Literally all they did was visualize in their mind's eye shooting free throws and sinking them. Now, this is one of the reasons why when you see, if you ever watch an NBA game or college basketball, somebody's good, you know what they're doing, you'll see them go through a whole routine. And this is something they've practiced many times. Part of that routine is they're kind of getting out of their head. They're not imagining themselves missing, which, as you can imagine, if you are on the free throw and the game's on the line and this is like the championship game and millions of people are watching, you might start to psych yourself out a little bit. You might start to go like, I'm going to miss. And you imagine yourself missing, and you imagine the crowd's booing at you, and you imagine yourself losing your contract with that team, and your life just goes to hell. You don't want to have any of those thoughts in your mind. So one of the things that they do is they allow themselves to be totally absorbed by the routine, right? So you'll see them spin the ball a certain way or bounce it in a certain rhythm and then shoot. They do it the same way every time. If they miss the first time, they still do it the exact same way the second time. And this is hugely important because the mental side of this, especially when the pressure is really up, when the pressure is high, you got to be able to keep yourself cool. So the best athletes in any sport at the highest level, they know this. It is not purely a physical thing. The biggest difference between a really good amateur and a professional, especially a professional at the highest level, is the mental game. Your ability to stay totally focused, calm in the moment, not let the pressure get to you, and to still be able to respond well in whatever situation that you're in. So there have been other studies that have shown similar things, and this is hugely important to understand that our ability to visualize something can then affect our actual ability to do that with our body. So that's performance. The last way is in life. So I don't think I have anything written down for this. Yep, for life. So the first time that I really experienced something like this, and we're going to start to get into the woo-woo realm here of the secret, so bear with me. But I took this seminar with my Sifu called The Secrets of Success, the Sifu's Secrets of Success. And he gave lots of different ideas and drills, and this fly really loves me. Lots of different ways to improve using our kind of philosophy to impact daily life. And one of the things was visualization. And he played a little bit of The Secret, and he's like, this idea is really powerful, do this. So we played with this concept of visualizing, not just to do something in practice, which we do all the time, not just to do something for healing the body, not just using it for visualization, for meditation, but actually visualizing something and then trying to make it go from purely existing in your mind to existing in reality. And there is a whole philosophy out there about manifestation. And you visualize, and simply by visualizing, it will kind of bring something to you. I don't personally believe that it's that simple, but I'm open to it. But I'll tell you that at the very least, it seems pretty certain that when you imagine something enough, it will probably start to affect the way that you act and the way that you live, maybe on a subconscious level, very likely on a conscious level. What you visualize and imagine over and over again will start to show up in life, right? So one of the drills, and this is something that I highly recommend that anybody who is interested in this, all of you guys should do this, is what Sifu Brown called the lazy man's visualization. So you take your perfect day and you write it down in great detail. And this could be your perfect day now, but the more powerful way to do this, if you're talking about visualization and things that you want to happen in life, is you visualize like 5 years from now or 10 years from now. So I did this, and I imagined that 5 years from that point, that my perfect day was me living in California. This was me living in Michigan, by the way. At that time, I was working in the dojo and living my Michigan life. So I imagine myself living in California. I imagined being in the dojo filled with students. My perfect day was I wake up next to my wife. I go and I wake up the kids. And for some reason in my visualization, we're like rolling down the stairs together, which seems very dangerous, but it's just like a fun way of just getting from upstairs to downstairs without breaking our necks. And then there's French toast, which is a very important part of my ideal day, French toast. And then I drive to the dojo. In my visualization, I'm driving in a yellow convertible and I'm driving down PCH. In my visualization, I guess I was living in Malibu or the dojo was in Malibu. I don't know, but I'm driving on PCH to get to the dojo, and I show up and it's filled with people and everyone is having an awesome time. And somebody comes over to me and says, one of the staff members is like, we're at 500 students. And it's like, we have 500 students in the school, which is a big thing to be able to get to that point. And then I teach great classes at the dojo. I have just like a really nice Zen experience where I'm sitting here and there's just like a nice warm breeze blowing through the window. In my visualization, the door is over here, but it's close enough. And then I go home after teaching classes. This is a Saturday, so there's enough time to take the family to the zoo. And one of the kids is sitting on my shoulders like this, and we go around and look at the monkeys and everything, and then we go home. There's no lunch in my perfect day for some reason, but then when we get home, we have some kind of pasta. It's like a pasta salad. I want to say it's like bow tie pasta, and then sleep. And it's just a perfect day. I end the day by telling my wife that I love her. She tells me that she loves me and the kids also, and it's great. And it's just like a really nice, perfect day that basically encapsulates the feeling that, I want. Come on, fly. There's no fly in my visualization. I don't know why it's here today. I must not be having my perfect day yet. So now before I decided what would be in this visualization, I already kind of knew what I wanted the life trajectory to be. I knew that I wanted to move to California. I knew that I wanted to teach martial arts, but I kind of filled in all the details around that. And shortly after I did this, within about 1 year, I had this car at the time. This car was the coolest car, the Pontiac Vibe, which is like a little nugget car. It's one of those hatchbacks, so the back like flipped up like this. And I loved this car. And I parked it every day in the driveway of my house underneath this beautiful, big, old oak tree. And one night it is real windy and I am awakened. I become awake from this loud slam on my roof, right above my head. I'm sleeping on the top floor. And before I even open my eyes fully, I'm like, that tree branch slammed into my roof and broke through my roof, didn't it? And I open my eyes, no tree sticking through my roof. So I breathe a sigh of relief. Then I think, oh no, I bet it hit my house, rolled down the roof, and landed on my car, my precious Pontiac Vibe. This is a monster tree branch. It's like the size of a full tree. So I'm thinking, oh no, the car is totaled. I look out of the window and I see the branch laying next to my car. Sigh of relief. Go back to sleep. Wake up the next day. Go out to drive my car and notice it's totaled. The branch landed on my house, rolled down, landed on my car, rolled off to the car, and is on the ground. And the roof is smushed. It's not totaled, but it's close to totaled. And it just so happened that at that time, my parents were getting rid of one of their cars. And so I got rid of this car and I got to drive my mom's old car, which was essentially a yellow convertible. Now, I don't believe that I just purely manifested that, but I'm willing to believe that I may have subconsciously started parking my car under this real rickety looking tree branch with the understanding that if that branch falls and destroys my car, I'm getting that yellow convertible. And I drove it to California and drove it for the first couple of years when I had the old dojo location. So for that time, living in California, driving a yellow convertible in the dojo full of students, not quite 500 students, but pretty nice. Didn't have the wife at the time, didn't have the kids, still don't, but it's all kind of starting to happen for me. So that's anecdotal, of course, but when we understand the power of visualization, which is absolutely backed by scientific studies and backed by my own experience, and if you guys really start to visualize things on a regular basis, you'll get better and better at it, and you'll start to experience it as well. There are for sure at least tangential ways that visualized things will start to show up in your life for real. Now, you could say to me, well, you already knew that you wanted all that stuff to happen and you probably just made it happen. Absolutely, I did. The car thing aside, I did a lot of work to learn how to teach martial arts, to move to California, to open the school, to get students, to find a woman who would have me in her life, to marry her and all that stuff. And would I have been able to do all of that without visualization? Maybe, probably. Would it have happened the same way or as easily or as quickly as it did? Maybe not. When the visualization is happening there, and I didn't even explain what the lazy man's visualization is. You write all this out and then you record yourself saying it and then you play yourself that tape of you explaining the visualization while you're driving or just walking through your day. You got your headphones in and you do the visualization while it's being read to you in your own voice, which makes it stronger than if it's somebody else's voice reading it to you. So I absolutely believe that if you have the visualization, or even if you're just constantly being reminded of this, it keeps what is important to you and what you really want to happen front and center in your consciousness. It makes you more likely to take the actions that will result in that becoming your reality. And maybe there is something about just bringing it in, your energy attracting these things and it actually happening for your life. Whether you believe that or not, for sure, having it present, ever present in your mind is going to make it more likely to happen. Even if it's just reminding yourself every day, got to move to California, got to move to California. It didn't take much because half the year in Michigan, you wake up and you're like, what is this white stuff falling on me? Got to move to California. And this is something that you can really start to put into your daily life with a visualization that you're repeating. It can be something that you just use if you are having like a health issue and you want to really focus the energy of your body to make that happen. It could simply be something that you use in meditation or in a moving meditation to totally focus your mind. But there's no question that visualizations are hugely important, powerful, and the more you use them, the better you get at them, the more impact it will have in your life. So when we sit to meditate today, I'm going to give you a concept because I like to draw a very clear distinction between meditation and visualization or breath work. So it can be a meditation technique, but when we talk about meditation, we're really talking about completely clearing the mind of as much as possible. You can use the visualization as a focal point, but there is still a thought there that you can let go of, okay? We're going to slightly tweak this. And I'm going to give you something that you can use as a visualization that you can hold on to, but you can also just let go of and just return back to focusing on the breath. So when you find yourself getting distracted in your meditation today, you're going to do a body scan. And when you do the body scan, it has three kind of components. It has the breath. You're always aware of your breath. But it has the physical feeling of your body. So let's say that you're starting at your feet. You actually feel the sensation that your feet are giving you. But you can also have kind of a picture in your mind of that part of your body. When I do this, I usually imagine myself sitting the way that I'm sitting in Seiza, and I see my whole body, and I almost have like a line that goes from my feet and like travels up through my body this way. This can be really nice to help you focus, especially when you get up like from the throat up. You can have like a line where you actually can feel the breath at a certain point in your throat, and you can have the line where you feel it at a certain point in your nose. But it's very useful to do this body scan when your mind starts to wander. You can just come back to feeling the subtle sensations in your body and connect those sensations to your breath. You'll notice that as you inhale, it creates a slightly different sensation, even in your feet, or especially in your hands, as opposed to when you're exhaling. And when there's a hold at the bottom or at the top of your breath, just a natural pause, there's a slightly different sensation there too. You don't need to be looking for any specific kind of sensation. Just recognize the slight difference in sensation between inhale and exhale, and just scan starting at your toes, just going all the way up a tiny bit at a time. I usually do this with like one part of the body. So I'll do my feet for an inhale and an exhale. And then I'll move up to the calf and the shin for an inhale and an exhale, and just do that with one body part at a time. If you're really having a hard time with that, just go to the hands, because your hands, especially when they're palm up like this, here or here, you'll really easily feel the sensation in the palms of your hands when you focus on that. And then you'll very easily feel the sensation when you get up to the throat or the nose. So just do that body scan when your mind is wandering, and then just let that go and come back to the feeling of the breath. Sit comfortably. So as a reminder, sit with your back straight, pull, eyes closed and raised up to the point between your eyebrows. Relax and watch the breath. Let go of all thoughts, worries, and cares. Be here now.